Efforts in lighting up the rural community has won praise from the Chief Minister. The official term Premier may only be used once it has been gazetted. Woman cured of HIV after stem cell transplant. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Ruben Gomez and this is TVS Nightline. University Malaysia Sarawak UNIMAS efforts in lighting up the rural community has won praise from the Chief Minister, Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg. The university has spearheaded the micro hydroelectricity projects in several villages in the interior parts of Sarawak.
Di sini saya ingin memuji usaha dan penglibatan UNIMAS dalam membantu masyarakat luar bandar menikmati kemudahan asas yang belum dapat disalurkan oleh pihak kerajaan. Antaranya projek mikro hidroelektrik di beberapa buah kampung di Pelaman Sarawak. Saya berharap projek ini dapat diteruskan di kawasan-kawasan pendalaman yang lain demi manfaat penduduk di kawasan luar bandar sebelum projek elektrik dapat dihubungkan di kawasan tersebut. Sebenarnya saya telah mengarahkan untuk memberi peruntukan yang khas kepada UNIMAS dalam projek-projek ini.
He said this at the third sessions of the 25th UNIMAS convocation on Wednesday. A total of 1,078 graduates received their scrolls at the third session, involving 3 faculties, namely the Faculty of Economics and Business, Faculty of Cognitive Sciences and Human Development, and Faculty of Language and Communication. Chief Minister Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg said that the Borneo Highway from Teluk Melano to Lawas is expected to be fully completed by the end of 2022.
Tambahan pembinaan projek lebuh raya BORNEO dari Teluk Melano ke Lawas sedang giat dijalankan dan dijangka siap sepenuhnya penghujung tahun 2022 akan merancakkan lagi ekonomi kita. Saya yakin projek yang menelan kos sebanyak 29 bilion ringgit ini akan membawa impak yang besar kepada Sarawak.
Abang Johari said the Sarawak Coastal Road project is also in progress. The 896 kilometers project, which also includes the constructions of 7 bridges, is expected to be completed in 2025.
Satu lagi lebuh raya yang sedang diusahakan ialah lebuh raya pesisir yang akan menghubungi daripada Teluk Melanau hingga ke Miri. Dan sekarang ini jambatan-jambatan sedang dilaksanakan melalui pembiayaan daripada kerajaan Sarawak sendiri.
The State Legislative Assembly on Wednesday passed an additional 478 million ringgit of ordinary expenditure under the Supplementary Supply 2021 Bill 2022. The bill was tabled this morning by Second Finance and New Economy Minister Dato' Amar Douglas Ugamas and seconded by Minister for Public Health, Housing and Local Government Dato' Sri Dr. Sim Kui Hian. According to UGA, the additional expenditure is to meet the costs of various services incurred by various ministries and departments for which funds were not provided for or insufficiently provided for in the 2021 estimates.
This additional expenditure is to meet the cost of various services incurred by various ministries and departments for which funds were not provided for or insufficiently provided for in the 2021 estimates.
Among the ministries and departments are the Chief Minister's Office, Ministry of Utilities, Ministry of Transport, Sarawak Rural Water Supply Department, Public Works Department and local authorities. In addition, the bill also sought for the approval for the first supplementary estimates of development expenditure for an additional allocation of 81 million ringgit. Now, the official term premier may only be used once it has been gazetted. Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts Minister Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah said that the date for the constitutional amendment will be announced later.
Kalau ikut dari segi guaman, yang sepatutnya patut kita menunggu ia digazetkan. Karena apa yang telah dipersetujui dan dirumuskan dalam Dewan Undangan Negeri, iaitu dewan yang paling tinggi membuat undang-undang. Ya, ada proses seterusnya yang mana ia perlu dibawa kepada tuan yang terutama, iaitu UMNO, dan selain daripada itu digazetkan. Selepas itu baru ia boleh diguna pakai.
Therefore, he said the positions of the Chief Minister of Sarawak can no longer be equalized as the position of the Chief Minister of Penang and the Chief Minister of Melaka. Meanwhile, another proposal in the bill to be tabled by Abdul Karim is for the post of Assistant Minister to be changed to Deputy Minister. In addition, he said the changes are subject to the rights agreed during the formation of Malaysia. Abdul Karim is expected to table the Sarawak State Constitution Amendment Bill 2022 on the second day of the first meeting of the first term for the 19th Sarawak State Assembly due on Tuesday. Sarawak is on track to regulate its sago and nipa industries with the passing of the Sago and Nipa Development Board Bill 2022 by the State Legislative Assembly on Wednesday. Minister for Modernizations of Agriculture and Regional Development Datuk Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi Utom said the board would assist in planning the future viability and sustainability of the two industries. Dr. Rundi said Sarawak is among the world's largest exporters of sago flour, with over 37,000 tons of sago starch valued at 78.29 million ringgit in 2020, while 1.93 million ringgit worth of gula apong, one of Nipa products, was exported in 2020, with another 3.38 million ringgit from local sales. He added the interests of all communities in Sarawak would be taken into account in the process of legislating the board to gain benefits from its formation and to align its objective with the state's goal of a high-income economy. Once formed, Dr. Rundi said the board could lessen the burden on other agricultural authorities which also take care of the development of other crops. Tanjung Datu Assemblyman Azizul Anwar Adnan wants the sago and nipa industry to be expanded to his area. Azizul says the industry will provide employment opportunities for the local community and at the same time generating new income.
For example, the sap is used to produce many products for consumption such as juice, syrup, molasses and traditional vinegar, which can be sold to generate income to the community, resulting in very promising economic potential.
However, he acknowledged that the income generated from Nipa sugar relies on the quality produced, and this is affected by various factors such as the water quality, rain and terrain. Therefore, Azizul called on the board that monitor the products to develop a management strategy for local producers.
One, which will allow the community to participate in maintaining the Nipa palm forest through management, planning and utilization. This is because many communities have inherited the maintenance and utilization methods for Nipa palm forest from generation to generation, as explained by the Honourable Member from Beting Maro. Therefore, they adapt the principles of sustainability management while benefiting from the resources provided by the forest.
Tanjung Datu is a coastal area that has extensive natural nipa plants which has the potential to develop sago and nipa industry. Now, Beting Maro Assemblyman Razali Gapor has been appointed as the new chairman of the Sarawak State Accounts Committee. Razali took over the post from Sarungjaya Assemblyman Aidil Lariwu, who is now the Assistant Minister of Infrastructure and Port Development. The appointment was announced by the Sarawak State Legislative Assembly Dun Speaker Tan Sri Dato' Amar Muhammad Asfia Wang Nasar at the Dun Conference this morning.
Pursuant to Standing Order 69, bracket 2, bracket B, the Standing Orders and Selection Committee have nominated the chairman and members for the following Successional Select Committee. Public Accounts Committee under Standing Order 70, Yang Berhormat Insinyur Loh Kichiang, Yang Berhormat Encik Muhammad Chi bin Kadir, Yang Berhormat Encik Si Chi Hao, Yang Berhormat Encik Wilson Nyabung anak Liang, Yang Berhormat Encik Miro anak Simbo, Yang Berhormat Encik Roland Tuat anak Chubin.
Other than that, Asfia also announced that he will be the chairman of the Sarawak Dun Committee, Public Complaints Committee and the Standing Committee.
The committee shall assist the House Committee in the planning, organizing, managing and monitoring any events or matter relating and incidental to the comfort and convenience of the services, amenities and facilities of the members of the Dewan.
Dalam kebangkitan editorial di musim kedua,
Ne dur bildik ne durak. Ne bir yaylakta ne bir kışlıkta gün yüzü görmedik.
penghijrahan Puak Kai terhenti dengan kemunculan serangan tentera Mongol diketuai Baiju Noyan. Pergelutan, pengkhianatan dan penentangan. Sejauh manakah keazaman Ekturul dan Puak Kai demi Anatolia? Apakah nasib yang akan menimpa Halimi, Turgut dan Selcan? Nantikan Ekturul musim kedua mulai 22 Februari ini setiap Isnin hingga Khamis 9.30 malam hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro dan MyTV.
Kecemasan, boleh saya bantu?
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Tembika Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here, over.
MERS 999. Use it wisely.
This is our world today. Complicated ideas, news saturation, information overload. We'll delve into the issues, break down the stories to see what matters and why it matters.
Your hands are not on the wheel and hasn't used anything. Okay, it's moving by itself. Wow. I just don't get fat.
Welcome back. Changing the term of Chief Minister to Premier will not have any implications on the legislation's social life or economy of Sarawak. According to political analyst Dr. January Amir, this in fact is in accordance with the amendment of Article 160 of the Federal Constitution in 2021. The change of the title will also not affect the relationship between the federal government and state government.
Ini merupakan satu percubaan atau langkah yang diambil untuk memantapkan lagi kedudukan Sarawak dan status Sarawak di mata rakyat Sarawak. Ekoran kemenangan GPS memenangi 76 kursi daripada 82 kursi DUN Sarawak. Dan saya juga menganggap bahawa perkara ini tidak harus dipolemikkan secara keterlaluan kerana ini bukan sesuatu yang luar biasa sifatnya. Ini adalah satu langkah hanya untuk mengubah istilahnya saja tanpa banyak implikasi dari segi ekonomi, kewangan dan sebagainya lagi.
The terms change reflects that Sarawak is not just a state but has a special status in the constitution. However, Dr. January urged the state government to find the right terms for the premier post in Malay language, as conflict could arise because some parties claim that the post should be called Prime Minister instead.
Dan saya ada dua istilah saja saya fikir paling sesuai digunakan, iaitu Menteri Perdana ataupun Menteri Utama. Tidak mungkin untuk menggunakan istilah Perdana Menteri kerana dalam sebuah negara persekutuan tidak harus ada dua orang Perdana Menteri seolah-olah wujud negara dalam negara. Saya percaya kerajaan Sarawak akan mengambil satu keputusan yang tepat, yang bijaksana dengan menggunakan istilah yang sesuai.
For businesses affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has allocated a total of 500 million ringgit for 200,000 entrepreneurs registered under the Cooperative Institute of Malaysia, or ICMA. The assistance will be channeled to them in the form of cash, moratorium and grants through the Revolving Capital Fund of Malaysian Cooperative Commission TVSTVMY with up to 200,000 ringgit.
Dalam tempoh 100 hari kita telah menggerakkan usaha untuk menggabungkan semua agensi di bawah kita yang terdiri daripada 11 agensi ini, dan kita telah menyalurkan peruntukan 500 million. Ini termasuk sebahagiannya adalah moratorium dan juga grant, dan kita telah mensasarkan lebih daripada 200,000 usahawan dalam konteks ini. Tetapi dalam konteks koperasi, tanggungjawab ini dimainkan oleh pihak SKM dan juga Bank Rakyat. Jadi dua agensi ini diberikan amanah oleh kementerian untuk memastikan bahawa usahawan koperasi ini tidak dapat dibantu sebaik mungkin.
For the record, the Malaysian Cooperative Commission (SKM) has provided assistance amounting to 278,000 ringgit to cooperatives in the Miri division. This assistance includes a disaster relief fund of a total of 13,000 ringgit to cooperatives in the Baram area. Now, the Malaysia Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, MOTAC, takes seriously the incident of 7 Malaysians stranded in the Philippines following the issue of the COVID-19 digital vaccination certificate not recognized by the Philippines authorities. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri, did not expect such an incident could happen, adding that she will bring this issue to the cabinet meeting. Although Malaysia and the Philippines have now reached an agreement to recognize the COVID-19 digital vaccination certificate, the matters still needs to be discussed to prevent such an incident happens shortly.
Sebenarnya bila saya nampak dalam social media, saya terus tanya. Jadi sebenarnya maklumat yang saya dapat cuma mengatakan secara teknikal semuanya sudah resolve. Sebab mungkin ada misunderstanding lah, ada kelewatan untuk berhubung di antara satu sama lain. Jadi apa yang saya dapat tahu ialah perkara ini sudah di-resolve melalui wakil kita di Filipina. Itu saja saya tahu. Terfikirlah, jadi apabila ini berlaku, dia menjadi satu panduan lah. InsyaAllah saya akan bawa perkara ini besok kepada kabinet besok.
Malaysian travellers are now allowed entry into the Philippines with proof of a complete vaccination status in MySejahtera. This was following the agreement reached between the Malaysian and Philippine governments on Monday to mutually recognize the COVID-19 vaccination certificate. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry also said travellers from the Philippines are also allowed to enter Malaysia with proof of a complete vaccination certificate in Vax Cert PH. The agreement also allows the Malaysian Embassy in Manila to to assist 7 Malaysians stranded at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport last Sunday to enter the Philippines for official and business purposes. On Monday, the media reported that 7 Malaysians were stranded at the airport after being informed by the Philippine authorities that the Malaysian digital vaccine certificate in the MySejahtera application was not acceptable proof of vaccination. However, all of them were allowed to enter the Republic as a result of the swift action of the Malaysian Embassy in Manila. According to Wisma Putra, the Malaysian government in principle recognizes travelers who have been inoculated with vaccines approved under the Emergency Use Listing EUL by the World Health Organization WHO or approved by the authorities of certain countries. However, the recognition of MySejahtera's digital vaccination certificate is subject to the decision of other governments. The implementations of the air and land vaccinated travel lane, VTL, as well as recognitions of MySejahtera were the two important things decided during Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob's two-day official visit to Brunei. The agreement was reached as the result of a discussion between Ismail Sabri and the Sultan of Brunei, Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah, will help revive the economic sector. Currently, there are more than 25,000 Malaysians living and working in Brunei, including Sarawakians who commute to Brunei. Some have yet to return to Malaysia for 2 years, following the closure of the country's borders due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Describing his maiden visit to Brunei as Prime Minister a great success, Ismail Sabri said a proposal was also made for the implementations of 4 flights a week between Brunei and Malaysia when the VTL is carried out. There were also discussions on measures to enhance economic cooperation, including trade and investment between Malaysia and Brunei, adding that bilateral trade increased by 70.4% to 8.03 billion ringgit last year. He said border area trade was also significant, with a value of 832.40 million ringgit last year. Ismail Sabri regarded the reached agreement during his short visit to Brunei reflected the strong commitment between the two countries towards improving relations to a higher and stronger level. And now we're back with Foreign Affair. A ghost village that has emerged as drought nearly emptied a dam in Spain is drawing crowds of tourists. With the reservoir at 15% of its capacity, details of a life frozen in 1992 are being revealed once more. Walking on the muddy ground, visitors found partially collapsed roofs, bricks and wooden debris that once made up doors or beams, and even a drinking fountain with water still streaming from a rusty pipe.
Con las escasas precipitaciones, sobre todo del mes de enero, pues ha bajado bastante el nivel. No podemos tampoco obviar que ha habido una explotación, digamos, bastante agresiva por parte de la empresa EDP, que es la que gestiona y explota este embalse. Eso ha hecho que pues, llevemos desde el mes de septiembre, octubre, noviembre, diciembre con estos niveles, que normalmente en esta época del año pues ya no tendría que encontrarse en esta situación.
Mayor Maria del Carmen Llanes blamed the situation on the lack of rain in recent months, but also on the aggressive exploitation by Portugal's power utility, which manages the reservoir. On February 1st, Portugal's government ordered 6 dams, including Alto Lindonso, to nearly halt water use for electricity production and irrigation due to the worsening drought.
Impresionante verlo así y que pocas veces vamos a poder disfrutar de nuevo de este paisaje y por eso nos acercamos para hacer fotos y que por lo menos nos quede la foto de lo que un día fue esto, ¿no?
Como estuviera viendo una película, así una cosa. Te da una sensación, no sé, de tristeza, así y tal, que nos quede esto.
Environment Ministry data shows Spain's reservoirs are at 44% of their capacity, well below the average of about 61% over the last decade, but still above levels registered in the 2018 drought. A ministry source said drought indicators showed a potential worsening in the coming weeks, but did not yet detect a generalized problem throughout the country. A US patient with leukemia has become the first woman and the third person to be cured of HIV after receiving a stem cell transplant from a donor who was naturally resistant to the virus that causes AIDS. The case is also the first involving umbilical cord blood, a newer approach that may make the treatment available to more people. Since receiving the cord blood to treat her acute myeloid leukemia, the middle-aged woman of mixed race has been in remission and free of the virus for 14 months, without the need for potent HIV treatments known as antiretroviral therapy.
It's particularly notable because she's the first woman who's achieved a long-term remission of HIV, and it's particularly important because worldwide women constitute over half of people living with HIV, and in the United States it's about a quarter, and historically they've been underrepresented in clinical trials, and particularly trials of interventions that we hope could ultimately lead to cure of HIV. So it's particularly important that a woman and a woman who identifies as being of mixed race was able to participate in this study.
The 2 prior cases occurred in males, 1 white, 1 Latino, who had received adult stem cells, which are more frequently used in bone marrow transplants. However, bone marrow transplants are not a viable strategy to cure most people living with HIV. Well, that concludes TVS Nightline. I'm Ruben Gomez. Anytime, anywhere.